Good evening everybody and welcome to the Florida Homestead. So tonight's project is we're going to be unboxing and installing the B&W turnover ball hitch on the Dodge. This is a no drill installation. You actually can put this on underneath the existing body. The instructions tell you how to do that. You drill the right size hole in the body, put it all together. We're fortunate we have no body in the way. So the box shows up from UPS is two pieces. One end's all beat up. We'll see how much is missing out of it. And I'm assuming this is the hitch and these are the frame plates. So let's go ahead and unbox it. And I really struggled with whether to get the B&W or the Kurt. The B&W is like $100 more than the Kurt. But I went with this because the one that's on Dodgy now is a flip up style and it's rusted pretty bad. It's seized up several times. It's been heated and beat on to get freed up. So with the theory that I want a brand new truck when I'm done, I put a brand new hitch in it. So there's our ball. There's our hitch. There's our lever. And there's an empty box. So set it there. Alright, so the observant eye probably already notices we're missing a piece. So we're going to be getting on the phone with E-Trailer, letting them know the box was damaged, and see what they want to do. You saw that it was taped together on that end all beat up, so we're missing another one of these. So, I believe. I'm going to go ahead and read some instructions, just to make sure I'm not wrong. So by the magic of camera time, we're back just about exactly a week later. So I called E-Trailer. Lady was super nice. She asked for some pictures off the box, I assume because they've had revision changes in how they build these. Got her the pictures, said she'd get it shipped out from B&W Hitch immediately. Wednesday, I guess it was, of this week. I hadn't heard anything. That was last Friday. I called her. It was late in the day, to be fair. So this Wednesday I hadn't heard anything from anybody, so I called up E-Trailer again, got a different lady. She looked into it, said yes, it had been shipped from B&W. It actually shipped Tuesday morning, and that I should see it Thursday or Friday, UPS ground. So she called me this morning to see if I got it yet, and I said no, and she goes, okay, well let me know if you don't see it today. So the wrong color truck showed up. It was a white one with a FedEx logo on it, but this was in the truck. And it was from B&W. So this is what we're looking for. You can see it's substantial. It's probably an inch by 2 inches, inch by 2.5, and it's solid steel. So that piece right there alone probably weighs 30-ish pounds. So I'm gonna say that my impression immediately is that B&W does piss poor packaging. I think they could do a lot more. When you've got something this heavy in a cardboard box like that right there, it's gonna move around. It's gonna, it's gonna tear the box up, right? They need to account for that to keep that in the package. E-Trailer, on the other hand, I would say stepped up to the plate and really took care of the problem above and beyond. So anyways, I digress. Enough jabbering. Let's go ahead and put this thing on the truck. So here's what we got to do. We have these two pieces here that go on the frame, as you can see in that picture. And basically, I think we're just going to go figure it out. This is supposed to be a no drill kit. There's a lot of instructions about drilling the hole in the bed. We don't have a bed. We don't have to worry about that. So we're basically at the point where if I look at these instructions, the short piece goes toward the truck cab. So this is passenger side. So this goes on this side over here. And what I know about this is it's supposed to be no drill. So I'm guessing it uses those two holes right there. A lot of heavy steel. I guess that's good when you consider it's holding the camper or whatever other trailer you may be towing behind the truck. And then yeah, we're just doing basically all the hardware. The one thing I'm doing, or I did on this one, you'll see I made some marks. The holes are all slotted, and there's a lot of adjustment in this. So on that one, because I want to snug it up before I put it on the truck, I centered this on this, which should center it in the truck. This one I'm just going to leave it loose until we get everything ready. So that's how that goes together. That's probably about 100 pounds of steel now. So you'll notice there's some things are symmetrical and some are not. So this is not symmetrical, and it has the piece here where you hook this to unlatch the ball, which we'll show you in a minute. So that basically comes in through like that and bolts on like that with that carriage bolt. I don't know if it matters which side it goes on, really. It's much straighter if you do it that way. So as I mentioned, we're just going to leave that loose, and we'll show you how it works when we get it on the truck. So I'm going to lug this back there, get it on the truck, and then we'll get our side plates on, and we'll start cranking bolts down and see how it works. Alright, we got this in place. Wasn't necessarily easy or pretty. I'm going to climb out of here, I'm going to do some hardware, I'm going to put the sides on so you guys can keep watching. So basically what I'm doing is any place a washer goes through a piece of steel, a bolt goes through a piece of steel, I put a flat washer on it. On the other side I put a lock washer, a nut, lock washer, a washer, and a nut. So what you'll see here is the front hole is threaded. So it's going to get a bolt with the lock washer and a washer. And that's going to go up in there like so. I'm going to line that up. And this one, alright, we're going to repeat this on the other side, which you guys don't need to watch us do. And we'll bring you back once all the pieces are in loose, and we'll show you how we line it up and tighten it. So we'll be right back. So we got this side all in place. You can see we used the holes like they said, no drill. And if you come around here and kind of look over my shoulder, you'll see the ball is about 3 inches in front of the rear tire, rear axle, center line of the rear axle. And I think that may be one of the problems with the current Dodge is that was just kind of thrown in there. And if I remember correctly, that one is back about 4 inches beyond. So that'll be interesting to see what difference that makes. And because we're still working off our Harbor Freight tools, the largest American wrench I have is 5/8. So I'm using a 19 millimeter and my new Milwaukee tool that I love. So then we have this row of bolts across here, spit it out, that I can't get the impact on. It's kind of interesting to me that they did this one this way. I would have thought, in my mind anyways, these would have been drilled holes and a nut and a bolt, because now you have to get in underneath here in a pretty confined space and tighten these up. Like this one, there's not even room for a ratchet. You're going to be using a wrench. So I'm going to tighten these up, and I'll bring you back and show you how the ball and the safety chains and everything goes. So these, we've got a couple options here. Normally if you were doing this on a virgin truck bed, you drill the right size hole for this to stick up through, and then you drill 4 holes for these. In our case, we got a pretty big hole in dodgy, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these on here and here like that. One thing I am going to point out is they give you these springs that go underneath, and then the nut goes on like that, and that's supposed to make it so they're they're spring loaded to pull back down. But you can kind of see gravity does a really good job of that, and I can tell you from experience, because Sue is always the one hooking up the other camper, she has a hard time fighting to pick these up. So I'm going to say 1 spring is enough to keep them from rattling. It does not need 2.
My fingers completely agree with you.
I mean, it's partially my fault. I should make sure she takes a screwdriver with her up in the truck when she goes up. See, I don't think that's gonna, well, maybe it's gonna rattle. You know, I guess we'll go ahead and go with all 4 for now. And if it becomes an issue, we'll revisit when it becomes an issue, because I don't like rattles. Anybody's ever rode with me can attest when I'm in the truck and I hear squeaks or rattles, it just drives me nuts. I'll end up screwing things together to keep it from rattling. These nuts are a locking nut. They've got a little stamp in them, so the threads are deformed internally. So when they get to that point, they won't turn anymore. So all we're going to do is take our impact and just turn them up past that. Sue may be able to show you guys up underneath here what I'm doing. So all I'm trying to do is just get that bolt to stick out of the bottom of that. That might have been more than I need to go. Something like that. And then you can see I can pick it up. And yeah. So for those that didn't get a good view of underneath, what I did is I put this on like that, and then I put the nut on. So we're going to do the same thing here. And then this is your gooseneck ball. You'll notice it's got a hole through it in 2 directions. It's also got a casting floor in there. So there's a pin. You guys look straight down in here. There's a pin right in there. And that pin is what holds this ball in. So what you do, because there's a body on here, you reach under the wheel well, you pull this out and pivot it towards the back. You see, and then it locks right there. And that way you can climb up in the body and set this down in. And then when you undo that, now the ball is locked and it can't come out. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take this back off for now, because we're going to have to cut a hole in the inner fender on the Dodge body for this to go through. So we're just going to take this off so we don't forget it instead of the side.
This is pretty much the exact same hitch, and it came with that frame, but as you can see, this ball isn't going to come out. It's pretty rusted in there, so that's why we had to order a new one. Unfortunately, would have been great if this one was still nice enough to use, but it is definitely not.
So that's kind of it in a nutshell. You can see where you could do this under the body if you really wanted to. The reason they have 2 sets of holes here is that these are supposed to go in indent in the rib in the body, and that way they're kind of flush. So if you want to slide a sheet of plywood or something in, you don't hit on them. In our case, again, like I said, we've got a big hole in Dodgy body. You remember back ago we did that video where I had it standing up, Sue come out and I was cutting a big hole in the body, and I said it was for the hitch. So we got plenty of room. We're not worried about that. And but that kind of shows you how easy it is to install. But you can also appreciate how that would probably be quite a struggle laying on the ground under the truck with the body on it, working in a confined space. And every time you bang something, dust and sand and dirt and everything falls in your face. So it was definitely a lot easier to do here. And we could have used the hitch out of Dodgy, but it's a really old flip-up hitch, and it's been seized up several times. It's been heated up with a torch. It's been beat on to free it up. And we just wanted to have a brand new hitch. Like everything else is going to be new. We wanted a brand new hitch, one less hassle, one less worry. Now we can drop our I forget the brand, but our ultimate gooseneck fifth wheel, whatever the frig that thing's called, that goes to that thing there on the camper. That big aluminum square thing that sits in here.
Anderson hitch.
There you go. Anderson ultimate fifth wheel hitch, I think they call it. Still mixed feelings about the thing. It hasn't given us a lick of trouble. You guys saw the video way back where the bolt was only in like 2 threads, and we still hauled the camper halfway across the country with no ill effect. I don't know how, but we did. But we won't dwell on that. Yeah, not the hitch's fault. It was professionally installed by a local RV sales and service facility, and they really dropped the ball. They should have noticed that. But anyways, I digress. Hopefully you find it helpful. That's the installation of the B&W turnover ball. And that's the other nice thing about this, is that you don't have to keep the ball in the back of the truck. See if I can do this by hand. You can always do this. And then let the pin back in, and the ball's right down flush. And there's a little hook there to get a hold of it. So you have options. My personal preference probably is, if I'm not using the ball, I'll throw it in the truck, just because it won't rust in or anything that way. And I'm just going to let that go carefully with my fingers. And that's it. And it is made in the US. So that's another nice thing. You know, it says right there on the ball. It's a little American flag over here. It says made in the US. So it's kind of nice to support an American company when we can. Way too much stuff nowadays comes out of China. And we're just as guilty of it as anybody of buying it. So anyhow, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.